Hard to resist, isn't it?
Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Massive thank you to the subscribers. At this point in time, I'm very close to 400 subscribers. I mean, it goes up and down, and I don't know if it'll go down again, but 498 I'm on at the minute. So I really appreciate the people watching the videos and want to watch the videos. It's really nice. It means I'm doing something right. And also, I'm connecting, which is what this is all about. This is all about talking about books and making something that could be very solitary into something that's a shared thing, which I think is why BookTube is awesome. So, anyway, this is something I've seen from lots of booktubers. Well, I say lots of booktubers. Certainly two I can think of, big booktubers. So one of the biggest, I think, Murphy Napier. She's done this book video, and Mike's book reviews. Mike's book reviews. I'll put a link down below. Seems a bit weird to link them below, being as they are huge booktubers, but it seems right because they're kind of the inspiration for this, and I think it's a really awesome book video idea. And basically, the reason why it came to mind was because of my first choices for this. So when I get to it in a minute, I just thought, oh my god. They're so similar, and it would be a nice thing to think, have I got anything else that I can offer for this kind of video? And I had a few ideas. So the video is, you might know from the title, if you like this book, then you might like this book. So it's just that idea that it might sort of turn you on to something you didn't know about. If you thought, well, I did like that other book, so I'll give this other one a go. It doesn't necessarily mean you'll like it, because it could be that there was a particular thing you liked about the first book that wasn't in the second book, or it could be that I'm talking out my arse. But the reason why I thought of the idea was I was reading this one, which I really like, Ken Grinwood's Replay, and I thought there were so many similarities to another book. So I'm going to do it in reverse because I think you're more likely to have read the other book. So this book, Stephen King's 11/22/63, which I keep I keep misquoting on comments on people's videos. I realise I keep saying 22/11/63, but that's because of how we say it in Britain. We always put the date first and then the month. Oops. Anyway. This is a brilliant book. This is one of his best books, I think, and a lot of people think it's one of his best books. It's definitely one of the best time travel books out there, and it is a hefty tome, and it could be shorter, but that's often the case with his books, probably. Is that controversial? But even though it could be a bit shorter, it really is so good, and the characterization is brilliant. The plot's fantastic, and there's a really good ending as well, and there's a lot of heart in the book, as well as a lot of horror stuff as well, or not horror stuff, but nasty stuff, violent stuff. But yeah, it's a really good book. Anyway, this was written in 2011. So there's a good chance that Stephen King knew about this book, and I think he was definitely influenced. So it's another time travel book. So this, sorry to clarify something. This is a book about a man going back in time to try and affect the assassination of JFK, and try and stop it from happening. That is referenced in a big way in this one, but this is a slightly different take on it. And there's also a lot of heart in this. There's a romance at the heart of this, as well as being a romance in the Stephen King book. And there's enough similarities for me to think that if you did like 11/22/63, or at least you liked it enough but thought it could be a bit shorter, this is a lot shorter, then you might like this one. It really is awesome. and I'm about to do another time travel video, and this is a big feature of it because it's so good. So, Replay by Ken Grimwood. Right, so, also, I've thought about this, I've thought of this example for a while, but if you know the Forever War, which is definitely one of my most successful forays into the SF Masterworks, so they're not all amazing, I don't think, but this really is a fantastic book, and I think anyone that reads it still thinks it's amazing now. It's not dated or anything, it's a fantastic book. So if you do like this book, but you don't know about Old Man's War by John Scalzi, it's very similar, then I think you might like it. So it's military science fiction, but it's military science fiction with, again, a lot of heart to it, and some interesting questions about time dilation and the effect of this particular setup, and how there's kind of a well, in this one you're kind of reborn into a younger body, and it's that idea of old, like an old man experiencing young things again, and that idea of age, really. And this is a book where the age thing is explored in the amount of distance travelled through the war, and the toll that it takes on the characters and that kind of thing. But yeah, really good books. And if you don't know this one, but you do know that one, see what you think of that. This is possibly a bit of a risky one, because I think humour is so subjective, but Terry Pratchett, and particularly the books he wrote that focus on death, the character death, not the incident of death, but the character of death, they were in my mind when I found Christopher Moore. I think this is Christopher Moore's most famous book, A Dirty Job. He's done a sequel as well, Secondhand Souls, I think the sequel is called. It's very good, it's very funny, but I think what the reason why I think it's a good comparison is that the humour is written in a similar way. So it's quite literate, it's very intelligent, but it's the timing's still there. I said in my Desert Island Books video about how important timing is in comedy, and some things just aren't funny because they're too laboured in how they're putting the joke out there. And he's got obviously a very good way of doing it. And Christopher Moore is very similar in the way he delivers his comedy, and his take on sort of fantasy tropes is similar. So if you don't know Christopher Moore, A Dirty Job, I particularly liked his book Noir. I've got about 7 or 8 of his books, and I'm still delving. But his Noir one was a parody of detective noir stuff. But this is one where death is a big part of it, the character death. So yeah, if you like Mort, then you might like A Dirty Job by Christopher Moore. This is another thing that I discovered this year, but I'm going to go back to the one that I'm basing it from. So, Day of the Triffids, John Wyndham. This book absolutely blew me away. If you haven't read this, you should read it anyway, and regardless if you're into science fiction, just read it, because it really is an incredible book. But the tone of it, the way it's written, and it's the whole feel of it is similar in John Christopher's Death of Grass. So, and I've particularly linked it to this one because they've both got this sort of post-apocalyptic kind of nastiness in it. It's exploring how horrible people can be when they're desperate, but it's from this very pastoral English kind of perspective. So if you don't know Death of Grass, definitely recommend it. And it gave me massive reminders of Day of the Triffids when I read it. So Day of the Triffids, if you like Day of the Triffids, give Death of Grass a go, and you'll probably like it if you like Day of the Triffids. And if you don't like Day of the Triffids, what? Okay. This next one is a sore point for me because I think the man I'm going to link it to is so underrated. But this is one of the most famous books ever, Douglas Adams' Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And a lot of people are still discovering it now, which is cool. As I mentioned, Murphy Napier at the beginning of the video because she did a If You Like This, You Like This book video. And she's just discovered Hitchhiker. It was really good to see her enjoying it and loving how much she liked it. It was really good. And he's always denied it, but now and again he's been asked whether he'd read Robert Sheckley beforehand because it's so similar. So if you like Hitchhikers, Dimension of Miracles is the one that's probably the clearest similarity because it's a man that just... I'll read the back. So, when Thomas Carmody wins the jackpot in intergalactic sweepstakes, he's whisked off to a galactic headquarters to claim his prize in person. But when he arrives in outer space, the only problem is, just how does he get back to Earth? The Odyssey home takes him through the most extraordinary experiences on extraordinary worlds populated by extraordinary people, and overall looms the terror of his personal predator, a monster of many guises, designed and created specifically for devouring Carmodes. So his name's Thomas Carmody. So it's a ridiculous book, and it's one of those, he just sort of keeps meeting these people on his journey back to Earth, and it's got that sort of stream of consciousness vibe that you get in Hitchhikers, and Robert Sheckley is such an influence, and yeah, I find it hard to believe he hadn't read any of Robert Sheckley beforehand. But this is also got other titles as well. Is it? I don't know. But anyway, yeah. So give him a chance if you... I mean, it could be that his stuff's lasted more because it doesn't date very well. And it could be that this is a bit dated, maybe. I don't know. But, yeah. Dimension of Miracles. This is one that I thought... This is definitely about style. This is not about plot. And it's not necessarily consistent with all the works. But I do think that it's quite a nice comparison. So if you know Something Wicked This Way Comes by Ray Bradbury, which I think is a masterpiece. If you know this book, and you like this book, and you haven't yet discovered Neil Gaiman, I do think that the way he writes is very similar, and The Ocean at the End of the Lane is a very Bradbury-esque fantasy about childhood and reminiscing and time and aging and stuff like that. So it's got a really nice feel to it, and that's what the themes of this book are. So I think it's quite a good comparison. If you know Something Wicked This Way Comes, have a look at Ocean at the End of the Lane, see if you like that. And if you don't know that, then you need to read that anyway. But yeah, it might be because Neil Gaiman is so famous. It could be the other way around. It could be that I should be saying if you know Ocean at the End of the Lane, then give Ray Bradbury a chance. I mean, he's one of the kings of speculative fiction. So, but he's probably the modern. He's one of those people that are just so incredibly famous that it seems a bit strange to say, have you checked out Neil Gaiman yet? But yeah, two big names, but you may not have seen one of those. So Something Wicked This Way Comes, I'm putting a link to Ocean at the End of the Lane. And then last one is really more tenuous than the others, but I've wanted to link them together because I think the experience of reading it is similar. So I'm a huge Blake Crouch fan. So this is Recursion. This is the one where he plays around with time travel. And I do talk about it in the time travel video I did about 18 months ago. But he's really good at writing fast-paced thrillers with a science fiction plot in the middle of it, but he doesn't get bogged down with too much exposition, and he just cracks on with a very fast pace, and the characters are brilliant, and you can't wait to turn the page and find out what's going to happen next, and that kind of stuff. But they're usually quite high concepts. This book Beyond Kidding by Linda Clark. I don't see anybody talking about this book, which is part of the reason why I wanted to find a comparison and see if I could do something sort of justifiable in this video as far as a link. And I do think there's similar experiences in reading them, and it's quite an odd plot. I'll read the plot in a second. But again, it's very fast. It's very thrilling. You keep turning the page, you read it very quickly, and at the end of it, you feel like you've been on a really good ride, and you've had this really awesome story told to you. So I'll just read the back. A darkly humorous, genre-bending work of literary sci-fi. Linda Clark is a new discovery for lovers of Kurt Vonnegut and Douglas Copeland. I don't know Douglas Copeland. When Robert decides to impress at a job interview by making up a son, he discovers that maintaining the lie is far harder than he thought. So he invents a story about Brody, that he's been kidnapped. After all, it's not like they're going to find the fake boy. But a few weeks later, Robert receives a call to collect his non-existent son from the police station, a boy who looks exactly like the picture that he photoshopped. Ooh. And it kind of develops from there. But it's much more of a thriller than a silly farce. So it sounds like a bit of a comedic plot, but it's not, because it is like he's thinking, what the hell's going on? And he's sort of creeped out by it. So yeah. Recursion, if you like that, give that a go, see what you think. And I'll be really interested to know what you think of those links and any of the books you've read in that list. I've done 7 links, there's 14 books there. Tell me what you think of them. Thanks a lot, bye.
Paint me a picture